Okay, so Anatomy Tuesday, and this I believe is episode 5. And today I want to combine two of the muscles that we've been talking about. So I told you about the diaphragm right in here, and I told you about the psoas. And now I want to talk about the psoas and diaphragm connection. This is near and dear to my heart. This conjunction in our body where the diaphragm and the psoas meet, I believe is the most important, deepest aspect of our body to find harmony and balance. So what am I talking about, right? So the diaphragm, right, remember, sits inside your rib cage, and it's our primary breathing muscle. And the psoas is down in the trunk, connects our trunk to our legs. Lots and lots of stuff about the psoas in the last video, so you can go back to that if you didn't watch it before. Now, basically what happens is there are ligaments that come down from the central tendon of the diaphragm, and they root on the spine right above and behind the belly button. And as they root on the spine, they cross over the upper fibers of the psoas muscle. So their connective tissue is bound with the connective tissue of the psoas muscle and how that muscle connects to the spine. So what that means, because our tissue is movable, it means that one muscle does actually affect the other. So finding balance between these two muscles is incredibly important. If you remember, the diaphragm muscle is our primary breathing muscle, so it does actually control our intake of oxygen, but it also, if you remember, the vagus nerve runs through the diaphragm, so it helps control our parasympathetic nervous system, or not control is the wrong word in that aspect, but it helps to turn on the parasympathetic nervous system during times of stress, right? So you really want that harmony then. And if you remember from the previous video, I said our psoas muscle is our fight or flight muscle. So it's the one that jumps into action whenever we get into that fight or flight state. So imagine now the connection between these two muscles and how important that is for regulating our nervous system and our whole body. Now, some tricks you can use to try to connect it is, one, just thinking about it, right? So using that image of the jellyfish inside of the body. As you inhale, the jellyfish or the diaphragm slides down, and as you exhale, it domes up into the rib cage, and as it does, it gently pulls the upper fibers of the psoas muscle with it, so you get some length in that psoas muscle around that time. Another thing you can try, and this is one of my favorite cues, and I always tell people, this isn't actually true, but if you imagine it in this way, it can help you find that connection and stability in the core. So when I'm doing leg work or some deep abdominal work, I pretend that my legs actually start inside my rib cage. So rather than thinking of my spine, my pelvis, and then my legs as separate entities, I imagine that that diaphragm, that connection to the psoas, right? Because the psoas connects my trunk to my legs, that important connection is also where my legs begin. So sometimes when I do deep abdominal work just with that focus, and I use the exhale, imagine my leg starting inside my ribs, or pushing the leg out, or lowering it down, whatever you're doing, just that imagery helps you find nice stability in the core. All right, so this, just so you know, is one of my favorite things to talk about. So if you have any questions at all, please feel free to reach out to me. Send me a message on Instagram, send me an email, info@julieturnermovement.com.